Throughout my time playing bosses, I've had my fair share of insta-kills, where I try to spawn camp each boss and pop them right as they come out. But what if today we tried to go by the literal definition of an insta-kill? I'm talking from 100 to 0 in just a single frame. What's the lowest time we can humanly post? For that, we're gonna take on normal Bloonarius on the map Bloons. As for why Bloons should be pretty obvious, on this map, Spike Storms reign supreme. Spike Storm abilities will concentrate 100% of their damage right on this corner here. So instead of like 20% of spikes landing on a boss on a normal map, it's 100 on this map. So the shortness definitely plays in our favor. Early game farming is going to be pretty standard if you've seen them before. Quincy NFT round 5, which will sell on round 30 for as many farms as we can. I'm also going to try to squeeze out an extra banana this round. If I sell Geraldo at $618, get a farm down, I can get a $20 head start this round. Hashtag worth. Now, doing this challenge does beg the question, what is the current fastest kill ever? And the lowest answer to that I could find, with proof that is 34.48 seconds. However, important to note is that that was well over 2 years ago, and since then they changed it so that deadly spikes will no longer work over rounds for bosses. Bosses clear any track items once they spawn in, which makes insta-killing a good amount tougher. On top of that week was also reduced Bloonarius HP, so it's thus easier to get an insta-kill off. And without video proof, it was apparently documented that the lowest ever kill was 34.35 seconds by Pytrek. If we count that and average that out by tier, that means 6.87 seconds per tier. But 6.87 isn't the lowest number you can do per tier, because a lot of the time it's concentrated towards the animation of the final boss kill. If I am correct, the true perfect time per tier kill should be around 6.05 to 6.1 seconds. So keep note of those numbers, because that's going to be really important. Anyways, here's how the farming went up to tier 1. On round 21, we have a red hot rank boomerang and an engineer for defense. Selling Geraldo definitely made defending early game Bloons tough. And then in the middle of round 24, we sell for the monkey bank. It's a very late monkey bank, so that means by round 30, it's not full. But I do sell my NFT anyway, just to get the IMF loan early and then start depositing. So instead of collecting the bank to full, getting IMF loan, and then getting it in full again, we only do it once, which hurts a lot money-wise, but not much you can do. Recent boss events have really spoiled us with having a bunch of extra starting cash. Round 32 is where I do something pretty wild. I sell the boomerang now for Geraldo. Reason being, I actually need Geraldo to be a high enough level by tier 1. You'll see why at that point. But also the camp pot's nice too. That'll make so that our balloon trap can suck in all the round 30 camos. And round 35 is finally where we get our mini Monkeypolis. Hella late, but again, what can you really do? Quadruple discount, that's right. Quadruple, balloon trap. Then we take out the loan to get a Monkey City. Although we are $100 short, so I had to lose just a tiny bit of time to wait for the Monkeypolis. And here we are on round 38, where I'll pick off with live commentary. As I said earlier, it's obviously going to have to be a Spike Storm angle for tier 1, and I think I can reasonably afford 4 of them. However, sometimes you don't have to go overkill, because sometimes the difference between 3 to 4 Spike Storms is the same amount of frames, so for that, we kind of have to trial and error. The less defense we can get away with, the more money we'll have for the future tier, so that's why I'll show you the difference between 3 Spike Storms and 4. So let's see, I need to cool off the ability, so I think now that Zebras come out is a good time. 1, 2, 3, and guess what? If I get 3 Spike Storms, I can keep my Bloon Trap around, which is pretty nice. I can use this now to defend the balloons coming in. And now something important to mention, or rather multiple things to mention. We got Geraldo early, so that we can have the Blade Trap for round 40, reason being, Bloonarius spawns a bunch of ceramics, and there's no way Spike Storms can handle that. And he also propels them really back in the track, so the only way to defend those is with, like, well, a pixel backside trap and a glue. Important point number 2, the way that Spike Factories work for damage is that it only uses one of its Pierce up per frame. And that's why we're also going for 042s. Even though they have technically half the Pierce, it does not matter, because if we kill it within a frame or 2, then it only uses up 2 of however much Pierce each pile has, so the difference between 10 to 5 does not matter. We want to have more spikes rather than spikes with big Pierce, and that's why Also, stuff like Sharpening Stone is a waste of time. It will not increase your performance because it gives +1 pierce. We need to get stuff that gives plus damage instead. So let me show you how quickly 3 unbuffed 042s get me. Let go. 1, 2, 3. And take a look. Goodbye. What time was that? Maelstrom came in clutch there. Very nice. And now let us wait for round 40 to end. Alright, 3.843. Now we sell 3 of these guys for a Monkeyopolis. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this is still pretty far off from ideal. Normally I would have a BRF at the minimum by now, but since I'm very far from affording that, I have to settle for a Rubber Gold, Glue, and this. But before I continue, let's go back to the menu and see that the time that we got for Tier 1 was only 6.11 seconds. So that's higher than the 1 frame I was talking about. Okay, so taking a look at the frame-by-frame replay of Tier 1 here, you can see that it took 5k damage for the first frame, another 5k for the next frame, and then almost 10k for the next frame, but it left it at 91 HP, so it actually took 4 frames to kill off Bloonarius. I can definitely shave off, well, 1 extra frame by adding a little bit more damage. Getting it in 2 seems impossible, though, because we would need to double the amount of damage from Spike Storm, so back to round 40, where the only thing I'm going to do different is buy Jungle Drums. That is 17% more damage, which should be a 3-frame kill. Let go again. It's a shame that you can only see what time it ends up being once we back out of the game. Anyway, we can back out see that our new time is, well, 1 frame better at 6.10. Out of curiosity, here is what 4 Spike Storms would have gotten us in terms of time. Doing so, however, would require me to sell my Balloon Trap and make me very, very, very poor. As you see, exact same time, so there's no point going for a 4th. So it's not perfect, but I'll have to settle for a 3-frame Tier 1. If I cared about in terms of, like, perfect frame kills, then I wouldn't have picked Bloonarius in the first place. Other bosses like Lich are much easier because they have multiple partitions, so in terms of insta-killing, you only need to do a 1/6 of the total boss's HP to get, like, a perfect frame kill off. But it technically being closer to perfect doesn't make it feel much better as an insta-kill, does it now, compared to one-shotting Bloonarius from 100 to 0. The way things are looking right now, I'll probably be lucky to get around 55 Banana Central. The tough part too is that if I want to make more money from selling stuff, I would want to put my farms next to the water so I can put a flavored trades boat over here. But in doing so, I will no longer get the Monkey City bonus if I put all my, central markets around the village range. The only way would be to move my entire army to the right side, but then I don't get the cash pops from, like, the Balloon Trap getting extra money. So it's really a pick your poison kind of thing. Ultimately, I decided it's better to get the bonus money. Don't mind me, but because this is not a competitive game mode, I'm not playing against other players, I'm gonna allow myself to use tech bots with the help of a mod, just so it's easier to keep track of overclocking every BRF. I say if it's just a quality of life power, then we allow it just to improve my, well, quality of life. Now we get fertilizer on our BRF to make more money. Another popular thing people do in the 50s is they get an 032 Spike Factory on top of the Balloon Trap spikes here, so that when the Moa pops, the Cerams get into the Balloon Trap immediately without other towers taking up pops from it, which is pretty awesome. Spike Factory is not just good for the boss, but as well as the rounds in between. This didn't actually end up being so bad. I think we can get the Central Market this round, or Banana Central, by selling everything here. Ooh, 2,000 off. I guess we can get one of these Balloon Traps back later, sure. We need 3 to be able to keep the Spike Pile alive, in case you're wondering. But not bad, we'll make the most out of this Banana Central for the next, I don't know, 6 rounds or so. At which point, well, we'll have to sell it again for a hefty Tier 2 defense. Okay, and now to do a little bit of explaining for the Tier 2 checkpoint. I decided to spend a bunch of money on a Marine instead, just so I could door gunner the flavor traits to make more sellback from all these farms here. I also fiddled with 402 BRFs. I don't know if they're better, like in terms of extra sellback, but either way, let's see how much money we have now. 336,000, not bad. The first thing we're gonna do is build a support template. We want $50,000 of the support sacrifice so that we get the +2 damage buff. Because damage is oh so important. So we sell enough off to make just above 50,000. Think if I sell this guy here, 750 above, I think we stop. And so after building our Sun Temple, we have how much money to work with to buy Spike Storms? About 170k. And unlike Tier 1, I don't have to get them the round before because I can just use a Regen Potion to get them up immediately. Sadly, money's tight, so I have to get rid of the Door Gunner Chinook, just so that we can afford even more Spike Storms, and as well as Glue Storm, Super Brittle, Crew of Moab. And with that, I think we stop here. Rejuve down to 2.5k. And what I'll do is, since I can't afford Crew of Moab, we want to sell the Homeland to buy it immediately, because there's still a bit of time we can wait for. Here goes a dozen super buff Spike Storms, as well as Glue Storm. Go. Use all 10. Sell. And that was so fast, I don't even know if my replay can catch that. I also completely forgot to go for Maelstroms, but hopefully I can clutch it. I'm not sure if the temple has got what it takes to defend it. Would be nice though. We'll drop 2 to be safe and good. So how long did Tier 2 take? Well, we'll have to go back to the menu to check. So from 6.10 to 12.18. That's not very good. I messed up. First off, I don't need Homeland because it doesn't actually increase the rate of the Spike Storms, only the Pierce of them. And secondly, I thought Glue Storm would apply automatically to Bloonarius, however, that's not the case. It only applies a tick of the plus damage every couple seconds, or every second. So say, for example, I use Glue Storm now. Look at the damage, it only does plus 2, instead of what should be plus 5 with the plus 3 damage buff. So, in other words, either I try to time a Glue Strike to be exactly on Bloonarius spawn, which is really annoying, or I don't go for Glue Storm at all. Here is what, we'll still get a Glue Strike, I'll try to time it, but if I don't get it, it's not the end of the world. I guess to make it easier for myself, I'll tech bot a few Spike Storms just in case my clicking speed isn't fast enough to get all 15 of them off. Just 5 of them, that's all. Here we go. For a faster kill. Now, and I pressed it. I think I pressed it when it was at 1 frame through. I also keep forgetting to get a Blade Trap, so come on. Just 1 Blade Trap, and we're good. Okay. And now the checker updated score. Oh. It's still only 1 frame better than last time. Instant replay time. Tier 2 was actually very, very good. Take a look. 1 frame to get to 42.5k, and then the immediate frame after, right down to 0. So that was a 2 frame kill, but for some reason the split took 6.16 seconds. So I'm not sure if the cumulative time is supposed to be off, but it looks like you could only really get 1 frame faster than 6.16 in the best case. That I would consider perfect enough. And now, sadly, because I sold my Door Gunner flavor trades, I have to sell all of these for a much reduced cost. And now we only have a measly 163k of farms to work with a support temple. It's probably worth it to sell the Sun Temple just to get 92 extra k worth of farms right now, but I'll play the long game. Lose a little bit of money short term. Just so I can keep this around for defense and, you know, make every other subsequent upgrade 20% cheaper. Besides, there's still 20 more rounds of hardcore farming we can do, so this map will be full by the time Tier 3 comes around, trust me. That was a bit of a lie. This map can fit a lot of farms, so we're only getting like 40% full on round 70. And still around 75, plenty of space to go. But at this point, I gotta start farming because I need to prep Tier 3. In a shocking twist, I decided not to go for Spike Paragon or Spikes for this tier. Instead, let's do just 1 Paragon, the Engineer. I decided instead of selling every single farm and temple on the map to place a billion spikes, it would probably just be easier to use the Engineer Sentry Explosion from the Paragon and just try to time it frame perfect. It'll probably take a lot of retries to get it frame perfect, but trust me, it is ultimately easier. Now, the degree that we need for the Engi Paragon is 35. Tier 3 Bloonarius is 350k HP, so I mathed out the exact amount of boss damage each Sentry Explosion would do. There are 3 sentries, so I needed 116,000 damage. Degree 35 was just barely above that amount. I still need to sell some farms however to afford it, so let me do that real quick. So doing this on Rent 79 should give me enough time to place all 3 down. I have to wait 3 full cooldowns. Before we go further, we gotta see, of course, if I did the math right, and selling this can one-shot the entirety of tier 3. So let's go. Let's try to time it. My first step will probably suck, yeah. Perfect, though, perfect. However, we do die to the balloon inside, so good to know. We probably do need to drop one spike trap from Geraldo, I'm guessing. So sell over and over until we find the replay where it's a frame-perfect sell. Lego. Let's... that was early. I told you, this would be tough. Again. Alright, let's see how many frames off I was there. Maelstrom? Those mobs are awfully far. One Maelstrom isn't enough. Again, I think it was about 15.1 seconds. 15.2, okay. I think the Maelstrom timed out, so we'll do 2. 1 and then 1. There we go. Well, first off, our time now is 18.33, so that means it took us 6.17 seconds for that tier. Okay, so the timer should read 15.23 when we sell, because that's the first frame where the sentries do damage. And it's not until all the way until 15.33, so like 5 frames, where we finally sold the NG off. So that means there's a good 0.1 seconds we can shave off. We need to see 18.23 to achieve the perfect tier 3 kill. I think I was off there. That's pretty good. Whoa. 18.21? That's the one. That's a 6.05 split. The lowest possible you can achieve. Truly frame perfect. Well, we gotta do that same shit for tier 4, and thankfully, it is possible. I checked, and you need a degree 80 Engineer Paragon to perfectly kill all 750k HP of tier 4. According to the Paragon degree calculator, I think it's gonna be perfectly there if we use a max cash slider. So to even prevent other towers from getting pops, we're going to sell this temple in front, because it'll definitely steal away some stuff. So now we'll get a true Sun God, just to the right of it, with discount from the support TSG. This will be in preparation for the tier 5 kill. I'd say the only tower I'm allowed to get other pops on is the Alchemist, just so it gives more money for the XXXL trap here. And glue in the front to make sure we get the extra money from it. Alright, let's rock and roll and greed as much money as we can in the next 17 rounds. So I even added some sabos on the right side, just to make it even slower for the blimps, so that I can land more rubber golds on them. Anyways, if you've been paying attention, we're making a casual, cool $250,000 per round now. And there's still a good amount of space in this map to go. Now it's time to make one of my biggest monkey oplises ever. Right here, smack dab in the middle, we'll make a 114k oplis, which, if I'm doing the math, that is 38,420 forms ever sacrificing. Not the biggest I could possibly get, because as you see, I'm missing one Ultra Boost stack, but either way, I think it's good enough. Now let's build those 30 that we lost back. So apparently a 38 farm monkey obelisk makes $63,000 per round. I guess that's okay. Anyway, aside from adding a couple more overclocks, I think our farming is pretty much done. So the TD's part is over, and now we just play the waiting game. So here's what kind of sucks. We're actually at degree 79, but I think if I just eat up some balloons on 98 here, we can reach 2 million, because there's a lot of pops and money to go around this round. We just gotta buy enough time, alright? So every time it collects on the trap, we're gonna keep checking to see if it hits 80. It's really annoying, but I swear to God, it'll happen. Nope. Oh, there it is. Okay. So quickly, let's buy it over here. Suck it up now. And then buy a Balloon Crush, okay? So we can stall the living crap of this round. That's how we're gonna get out of this round. So here's totem number 1. Oh, and nope. Even in boss challenge, you still get a time penalty, which is super duper annoying. So I gotta beat the round fast enough here, but still stall long enough to get all 3 sentries up. Oh, what fun that is. After what seems like 5 billion years later, we got the sentry drop down. I don't know if there's enough time, though. How do we stall at 99? On 99, I put a Bloon Crush and Maim on last so that none of the sentries that I drop can hit the balloons coming in. So I stalled just enough to get the third one. Thank God. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to sell this Degree 80 NG because I want it for Tier 5. So what you can actually do, which is pretty cool, a pretty cool mechanic that I haven't done before, is, weirdly enough, you can sacrifice the mini sentries. So, for example, if I do a Sun Avatar here, look at that, they're gone. And it still does the 3 explosions, just like you would selling the Engineer Paragon. So, surprise, surprise, that's what we're gonna do. If we want a frame-perfect kill, like Tier 3, we should see a 24.26 time after Tier 4 here. However, if I put it on the left side, this covers the timer, so it's gonna be hard for me to, well, time it. We did it too early there, or did we? No, we actually did too late, because here's the thing. There's an animation before it actually does the damage. So we have to, like, actually sacrifice it a second in advance. Let's see here. Did we get it? Oh, we did. But it's late. That's well past 24. 24.8 something. Anyway, just to survive these UMGs, I got a Legend of the Night, Black Hole. Because I figure defending this would be nearly impossible, and yep, we're just gonna let everything go into the portal there. But that was clearly not a perfect time. In fact, yeah, 24.90, so we have to sacrifice much, much earlier than that. Okay, I moved my tempo a little bit more to the right so I can see the timer. I gotta do 1926, okay? 1936? Yeah, if I did the math right, that was about 1.1 seconds off. 1930, okay, let's just see how close this is, okay? Because I swear to God, it's gonna be real close. Alright, let's see. 24.33. Okay, so if we're doing the math, I'm 0.07 off of a perfect time, meaning I actually need to do it at 1923. Got it. 1920. You know what? Let's just YOLO it and see. What? It still works. I'm confused. Let's check the time now. Oh, 24.26. I didn't know you were allowed to be early, but that helps a lot, actually. This is my first time doing that trick in a long time, so forgive me if, like, you actually can prematurely set it off. If so, that would have been nice to know for Tier 3. Anyway, all that's left now is to keep the NG Paragon for, of course, the final tier, as well as get as much money for a max degree Spike Paragon, and all of the Spike Storms you can afford. This will be a very fun process. Anyway, I'll see you at the final stretch. We want to get the Spike Paragon on round 116, so that's where we're going to start prepping. And great news, you're able to afford a Degree 81 Paragon easily. I could have gone a little bit higher than that, but 81 is good, because that's the breakpoint for the Pierce bonus. Now, I definitely overfarmed this run, because unlike normal time bosses, I don't need to get anything else normal tower-wise other than Spike Storms. That's all we're gonna build, and so you can see, after I sell the entire map off for 100 plus Spike Storms, we still have $1.3 million remaining. Also, no way I'm going to be able to activate all of these manually, so I need to get a tech bot for every single Spike Factory, so somehow, I actually think I went a little bit overboard in 133 Spike Storms, because I would not be able to fit 133 tech bots here, so I had to sell a couple of them off, just to even the ratio out, because while tech bots do take up a decent amount of space when you get 100 of them, we also tried to stall the rounds out with a Maim, like, to get more Spike Paragon spikes, but I don't think it really worked out all that much. And the fun part on 119, spam our 110 plus tech bots on our 110 plus Spike Storms. I cannot wait to see how leggy this gets. In a way, again, that plays in our favor, because now we can probably sell the Engineer Paragon at the right time. It doesn't have to be perfect, because I don't expect this to be killed in one frame. So as long as I sell this before the 750k HP mark, I'm good. Otherwise, this tier should only take one attempt, so here we go. I spent an unbelievably long time in this run. I'm talking like 8 hours, so why don't you go ahead and drop a code ISAB for that? That would be very nice. Anyway, bring it on. How much lag is this gonna cause? Here it comes. So, the moment I see the damage number go down, or the HP, press the backspace button on this. Still 3 million. I also forgot to mention that there's no point going for a Regen Potion, because all the spikes, like, landed already. And holy crap. No. I can't take it. Guys, I think that was 3 frames, but I couldn't sell the Engineer perk on time. At least I don't think the damage registered. I think this can be a 2-frame kill. Also, yes, they had glue strikes, but apparently they're not necessary. Let's go again. And let's get it this time. Surprisingly, the leg wasn't really that bad. So if I recall, I gotta sell right after they all suck in. Come on. Watching so carefully. Now. Go. Go. It doesn't let me sell it. I think it's gotta be 3 no matter what. Either way, selling the NG Paragon early wouldn't have saved me. Because I just realized it was 750k damage and we were at 1.2 million for that frame. I also have to quickly drop a Legend Knight, I just realized. Otherwise, I think I die to these BDs. Luckily, we have time for them to spawn in, so after the leg passes, come on. Please don't make me have to tech bot 100 things again. Each frame is taking 5 seconds to pass. Well, it turns out it is still leggy, it just wasn't the part that I expected. This attempt I also forgot to buy super mines, but I suppose it makes no difference. Anyway, while I was stuck on this slideshow for the next 10 minutes, isn't it interesting how the first frame does less damage than frame 2 and beyond? That's because I think the Crib Mob or whatever plus damage buffs like Super Riddle don't apply until, I guess, the second frame. So that kind of explains the jump from 700k damage in frame 1 to over a million in frame 2. I think it's safe to say with normal HP modifiers that we probably can't do 3 million HP in one frame, given I'm already space limited, but yeah. Okay, I'm able to sell stuff now. Okay, hang on. If I sell these 2, I can drop my legend down. It's coming back. We're back, y'all. Got it? Quickly. Before it exits. Awesome, we did it, we did it. We got the legend, now we can look at the timer left over. If it's in line with the other scores I mentioned at the start, it should be around 34 seconds, I just don't know how many milliseconds. I, for one, definitely don't expect anything below 34.35. But should be around there. Oh, I think it was right there. Personally, I saw 3.6 at the very end, and I don't even think we activate the black hole. Wow. The bads disappeared because there were so many spikes that were not used up from Bloonarius. At least that's what I was assuming. So I was worried for nothing. But there it is. The fastest possible kill at least I could do. As for whether it's the fastest anyone else can humanly do, well, I'm sure somebody can shave off 1 frame. Because ultimately, I wasn't perfect. I lost a total of 5 frames. We're not making summoning salt with this one, folks. 34.38, though, is pretty fire. I hope you enjoyed that, because I definitely enjoyed it. The results, not the 8 hours to get there. If you want to see more banger boss challenges, then, well, subscribe for more. Or click here if you missed this one.